What is going on, everybody? In this video, I'm going to be ranking my top 25 teams heading into spring football. The college football season is still 6 months away, but I want to talk about the 25 teams that I think are set up best heading into spring football and that could be really good next season. Now let's start off at number 25. I decided to rank Vanderbilt. This team is nearly top of the country in return in production, and Diego Pavia returning at quarterback for them is huge. They could definitely be a surprise. Clark Lea's defense is also one of the most experienced defense in the SEC heading into next season. This team could be really good, and I have them at 25. At number 24, I have Louisville. The Cardinals are 19-8 since Jeff Brom took over as the head coach in 2023. They only have just 4 starters back on defense, but they have a high-powered offense that should really be good with Miller Moss at quarterback, and they have a standout running back in the backfield with Isaac Brown. Jeff Brom continues to use the portal at a high level. He added some major additions on defense. I really like this team. I think Miller Moss will be their best quarterback since Lamar Jackson. I think they could be an ACC title contender next year. And I'm deciding to put Louisville a bit higher. I'm higher on them than most people are. I have them at 24. At number 23, I have Kansas State. I like this team with Avery Johnson back at quarterback. I think Avery Johnson will be even better in his second year as a starter for Kansas State. This team took a bit of a step back last season, but they had to reload at some positions, and I think heading into next year, they're going to be better. Chris Klieman is a consistent head coach, and he keeps this Kansas State team playing good football. And I could see this team making their way back to the Big 12 championship game. And having Avery Johnson back at quarterback is huge. I like their quarterback, and I like their head coach. I have them at 23. At number 22, I have Iowa State. There's potential for them to make their way back to the Big 12 championship game. They have Rocco Becht back at quarterback. The problem that they do have, though, is that they lost their top 2 wide receivers, so they have to restock there. And they also have to fill some pieces on the defensive line and in the secondary. I don't know if they'll be as good as they were last season. Losing 2 NFL wide receivers is big for that team. But regardless, this is a solid team with a good head coach and one of the top returning quarterbacks in the country in Rocco Becht. I have them at 22. At number 21, I have SMU. This team has a very bright future with head coach Rhett Lashlee, but they have several holes to fill on both sides of the ball. They really favored from an easy schedule last year. Their schedule will be a bit tougher next season. They do have Kevin Jennings back at quarterback, so he's due for a big season. But I am expecting a bit of a step back from SMU. I do expect them to be good, though. I have them at 21. And at number 20, I have Texas A&M. I didn't have them in my way too early top 25, but I'm certainly putting them in my pre-spring top 25 because their receiving core looks very good heading into next year. I'm also expecting great development from Marcel Reed, and he's going to have some weapons to throw to. Texas A&M adds guys like Casey Concepcion and 5-star Micah Hudson. Mike Elko has brought in a top 10 recruiting and transfer portal class for this season, and I think he's really going to help this Texas A&M team. I don't know if they're going to take a big step forward, but I am expecting them to be ranked in the preseason. And right now, I have Texas A&M at number 20. At number 19, I have Indiana. It's going to be hard for Curt Cignetti to replicate that last year's run that they had. They went to the playoffs, and their only regular season loss was to Ohio State. However, they still have very good talent. They do have transfer portal quarterback Fernando Mendoza. I honestly think he'll be better than Curtis Wark. He will be a strong fit for that offense. He's a young, talented, underrated quarterback. But they do face a much tougher schedule, and they just don't have the same talent as the teams above them. I do like Curt Cignetti as a head coach, but they're going to have to work harder to win double-digit games next year. And right now, I do have Indiana at number 19. At number 18, I have Michigan. A lot of this team's success is going to rely on Bryce Underwood's development as a true freshman quarterback. He's the highest rated on-3 recruit in a long time, though. This is a guy that people should really watch out for. He could be as good as Jeremiah Smith as a freshman. And I think Michigan has a solid foundation. They should have a good defense, and Justice Haynes will be a beast at running back for them. They ended last season beating Ohio State and Alabama. I expect them to take a step forward next season. And right now, I have them at number 18 heading into spring football. At number 17, I have Ole Miss. This team has a lot of question marks, but I think they could be a sleeper. Lane Kiffin only returns 4 starters for 2025. However, they should be in the playoff mix once again with a very strong portal class again, and the emergence of a rising star at quarterback in Austin Simmons and an improving defense. I expect the defense to be solid next year. I think Lane Kiffin is working in the portal and working with this roster. I think he'll make it work, and I do have them at number 17 heading into spring football. At number 16, I have Tennessee. This team lost a bunch of talent, and I do think they will take a bit of a step back. They lost star running back Dylan Sampson, who really helped that offense out last season, and a lot of the pressure is going to be on Nico Iamaleava to step up. Last year, they faced a favorable schedule that helped them into the playoffs. The defense was really good, but I think the secondary still needs work. I think Tennessee is a bit overrated, and I have them at 16 heading into spring, but they should definitely still be in the mix with a good head coach in Josh Heupel. At number 15, I have Miami. I'm expecting them to be a similar team to last year. I think Carson Beck will be a very good quarterback for them, one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, but I do think he will be a step back from Cam Ward. The focus heading into spring for this team should really be on defense because they made some massive additions in the secondary and they need a lot of help back there. How will the new defensive coordinator Corey Heatherman help out that defense in 2025? I still have some big questions with that defense, and I think losing Cam Ward will hurt them a little bit, so right now I only have them at 15. At number 14, I have Arizona State. This team is on the rise after winning last year's Big 12 title. Kenny Dillingham is one of the top rising head coaches in college football, and he's very young, but they will have to replace Cam Scotabo at running back, and he's definitely going to be missed. But Sam Levitt is one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and Jordan Tyson's one of the best receivers in the nation. And I think they will have a solid foundation on defense. I think they'll be really good again, but I wouldn't be surprised if they take a bit of a step back without Scotabo. But regardless, I have this team ranked pretty high. They should be one of the top teams in the Big 12 next year with who they have back. I have them at 14. Now, this may be a hot take, but at 13, I have BYU. This team had two very close losses that kept them out of the Big 12 title game and the college football playoffs last season. And let's not forget that Jake Retzlaff was battling injury at the end of last season, their quarterback. They had the number one scoring defense in the Big 12 last year. I think their defense is going to be really good again, probably the best in the Big 12 with who they have back. They also returned Jake Retzlaff at quarterback, and when fully healthy, I think he could be the best quarterback in the Big 12. He's very underrated. I really like this BYU squad, and I have them above Arizona State because I think they have a better all-around team. BYU was not far off of Arizona State's level last year. It could have been a different story if Jake Retzlaff wasn't injured. But honestly, I like what BYU has coming back, and I think they'll have a bit of a better defense than Arizona State. And I think Arizona State losing Cam Scotabo is huge, so I do have BYU above Arizona State at number 13. I'm really high on BYU. At number 12, I have South Carolina. LaNorris Sellers has massive breakout potential. He could be a Heisman contender. He will be even better in 2025, but the question is, can they rebuild at the line of scrimmage and push this team into SEC title consideration? I think this team has a very good roster heading into next year. I have them at 12 heading into spring football. And this is another scenario where I have two teams neck and neck, but I decided to go with Florida above South Carolina. I have Florida at number 11. I think Florida possibly could have beat South Carolina if they played at the end of last season. South Carolina ended up losing to Illinois, but Florida did end their season beating both Ole Miss and LSU and dominated Tulane in their bowl game. They were playing very good football at the end of last season, and they returned a lot of production and have some young talented players returning. And I think DJ Lagway is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. Last year, Lagway stepped up in tough circumstances and absolutely elevated that offense. And Florida had a very good defense, and I think they will pick up where they left off last season. I do have them right above South Carolina at number 11. At number 10, I have Illinois. I have to have them above South Carolina because they actually beat South Carolina, and they return more production than South Carolina does. So I don't understand why some people are ranking South Carolina above Illinois. This is an Illinois team that won 10 games last season, and they returned basically all the production. They have a very manageable schedule, and they return Luke Altmaier at quarterback. Brett Bielema is a good head coach, and I expect this team to push for a playoff spot. I have them at number 10. And at number 9, I have Alabama. Maybe I have them too high. They were very inconsistent last year, but this team is still incredibly talented. Kalen DeBoer is a proven winner, and I think with time, Alabama is going to be a contender for the Natty. They are just way too talented. And I still think there's big hype on them heading into spring football, and there's going to be hype heading into preseason. I'm expecting this Alabama team to be ranked high because of the talent. There will be a quarterback battle with Ty Simpson and Keelan Russell and Austin Mack, but I think one of those quarterbacks are going to fit well into Kalen DeBoer's system. And they also added Ryan Grubb as the OC, which is a massive addition. I have Bama at number 9. Number 8, I have LSU. I also think this team is going to be a lot better next year. It's all about the growth for this defense with Brian Kelly, but they also return Garrett Nussmeier, and they have some standout receivers joining the team, and they also have the number 1 transfer portal class in the nation. Brian Kelly is building something there, and I think they're poised to have a breakout season next year with Brian Kelly. I do expect them to be ranked high to start next season. I have them at number 8. At number 7, I have the Clemson Tigers. This team is first in the country for return and production. They return everybody on offense. Cade Klubnik is one of the best returning quarterbacks in the nation. He threw for 36 touchdowns last season. And they will have a new defensive coordinator in Tom Allen from Penn State. I think this team is going to go right back to the playoffs, and they can be even better next year and possibly compete for a national title. Definitely watch out for Clemson. They have some of the pieces necessary, and I think they could be a very good team. I have them at number 7. At number 6, I have Notre Dame. I think they're set up for another potential deep run in the playoffs. The quarterback room is a question mark, but the defense should be really good again, even after losing some of their top playmakers. But more importantly, they return the best running back in the country in Jeremiah Love. Jeremiah Love and a strong offensive line alone makes me believe that they will be a playoff team once again and one of the better teams in the country. They also added some receivers out of the portal. I expect them to be very good. I have them at 6. At number 5, I have Georgia. I have questions with Gunnar Stockton at quarterback, and they are losing some big pieces, but they have the best head coach in college football in Kirby Smart. I think that does enough to get this team ranked in the top 5. I have them at number 5. Right ahead of them at number 4, I have Oregon, and I know they lose a bunch of players on defense, but this team is still incredibly talented. They are the only team in the country with a top 5 transfer portal and recruiting class for 2025, and I think Dante Moore will be just fine at quarterback. I think Dan Lanning will continue to build off of his past seasons. This team should be a top-ranked team to start next season, and I have the Oregon Ducks at number 4. At number 3, I have Ohio State. I could have ranked them higher, but they have some holes to fill, and they lost both their coordinators. A national championship repeat is possible, but it's going to be very hard. Julian Sain will have to be a breakout quarterback for them. But on the bright side, they return the best player in college football in Jeremiah Smith and possibly the second best player in college football with Caleb Downs. They have some elite players, but they're losing a lot. I only have them at 3. At number 2, I have Penn State. I think this team is set up big for next season. They have a similar story to both Ohio State and Michigan of previous years. They continue to lose the big games, and their head coach has a lot of questions. But they return a veteran team for next year. They return all 5 offensive linemen. They return their top 2 running backs that could both be considered top 5 running backs in the nation. Those guys are Nick Singleton and Katron Allen, and they return a top 5 quarterback in the nation in Drew Aller. They also have a very good defense and some return in production, and they picked up one of the best defensive coordinators in the country from Ohio State. A lot of people don't want to buy into the Penn State hype, but I don't understand. This is a team that was a field goal away from going to the national championship last year. I have every reason to believe that this team will go back to the semifinals next year. I've seen so many people predicting them to get a first-round exit, and it just makes me laugh. This Penn State team should be very good again, and I have them at number 2. At number 1, I have the Texas Longhorns. I think they're the obvious favorite to win next year's national championship. They return a lot of production on defense. They have a star on the rise at quarterback in Arch Manning, who should be a good quarterback for them. They do have some questions on the offensive line. They'll have 4 new starters. But regardless, this is one of the most talented teams in the country that went to the semifinals the last 2 seasons. The last time a team went to the semifinals 2 seasons, they ended up winning the Natty in the 3rd season. That was Michigan. I'm expecting Texas to win the Natty next year. They have great pieces coming back. I have them at 1. But anyways, that is going to do it for my pre-spring top 25 rankings. You guys let me know down in the comments below what you think about my rankings and what would your rankings look like. But let me remind you guys to like the video and also subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. And if you guys love college football, then you'll love this channel because we upload a ton of college football content and we basically cover everything on this channel. So definitely consider subscribing and also consider checking out my socials down in the description below. But that is going to do it, guys, and peace out.